149 days. That's how long Nancy Guthrie has been missing. And this week, several pieces of information surfaced that investigators have kept quiet for almost 5 months. The first is about her Apple Watch. We already knew Nancy Guthrie had an Apple Watch. What we didn't know, until CBS confirmed it this week, is exactly where that watch was found. Not on her wrist, not on her nightstand, on the floor of her bedroom, with a white band, according to the first ransom note itself. Think about that for a second. An 84-year-old woman does not charge her watch on the floor. It ends up there one way, knocked off, torn off, pulled off in a struggle. And according to reporter Brianna Whitney, who worked directly with the Tucson station that received the very first note, this detail was in that note from day one. It's part of why investigators believed, and still believe, the first 2 notes are genuine. It's the kind of detail only someone who was actually inside that bedroom would know. That's disturbing on its own. But it's not the only thing that came out this week. Now, the second development. Harvey Levin at TMZ has been getting messages for weeks from someone who claims they weren't involved in taking Nancy Guthrie, but that they know who was, and they'll hand over the details for 1 Bitcoin, somewhere around $70,000 to $80,000, depending on the day. Levin offered them the $1 million reward instead. Go to the FBI. Claim it legitimately. The sender went quiet, then came back angry, claiming they now have video of the man believed responsible, and Nancy Guthrie, from what may have been her final day alive. Locked on a phone, in a secure location, they say, and they'll only hand over the password for that 1 Bitcoin. Hit the subscribe there. Levin told the FBI he wanted to pay it, offered to fund a documentary around it, wanted their blessing first. And here's the part that should stop you cold. The FBI didn't ignore him. They responded, and what they told him was, stand down. Levin, in his own words to CBS, said he was told the FBI feels like they're making progress identifying this person. Making progress. On the person contacting Harvey Levin. Separately, a former FBI agent told journalist Moira O'Connell that sources believe investigators are also closing in on the man from the porch security video, the one everyone now calls Porch Guy. 2 separate threads. 2 separate people investigators may be closing in on. That's the most concrete movement this case has shown in months. Meanwhile, Sheriff Chris Nanos gave a radio interview last Friday claiming the FBI has made, quote, a number of arrests for fake ransom notes. As of today, there's exactly 1 confirmed arrest. A man in California from the earliest days of this case. No one, including Brianna Whitney, who has direct sourcing inside this investigation, has heard of any others. Whether that's Nanos exaggerating or sitting on information nobody else has, we don't know. But his track record on this case so far hasn't inspired much confidence. And it's not the first time his department's handling has raised questions. Investigators released the crime scene less than 2 days after Nancy Guthrie vanished. No cause for alarm, they said at the time. Search called off. Reporters were waved right up to the front door, past where blood had already been found, past where a doorbell camera had been removed. Days later, the scene had to be resecured and the FBI brought back in, after it had already been walked through repeatedly. That gap, according to sources close to the investigation, came from an early theory that the brother-in-law was responsible. His car was seized and held for over 50 days, well beyond the standard 10-day return window under search and seizure law, before it was finally given back with no charges filed. While that theory held focus, at least 2 other people were separately detained and released with no public explanation. A delivery driver, a man and his mother who lived nearby. None of it has led anywhere the public has been told about, and the reasons behind those detainments have never been made clear. Here's a question worth sitting with. If the first note laid out real financial terms, pay the Bitcoin, get her back in Tucson, why did the kidnappers never ask for money in exchange for her body once she was dead? Every instinct in a case like this says there's still value in returning a body. Families will pay enormous amounts just for that. So either whoever wrote these notes wasn't sophisticated enough to realize that, or they understood something else. A body carries evidence. DNA, fibers, anything that leads back to them. No proof of life was ever produced, despite Savannah Guthrie asking for it repeatedly. And once there's no life to prove, some investigators believe the plan simply collapsed, and whatever remains there are got left wherever they were left. For a family living inside this, 5 months is an eternity. Savannah Guthrie has said publicly her family is still in agony, still waiting for anything resembling an answer. If you believe in prayer, keep Nancy Guthrie and her family in yours right now. Pray she is found. Pray for her family's strength while they wait. Pray for whoever is holding on to the truth to finally come forward. Now let's go back to the note itself, because Whitney's reporting on the second ransom note is where this gets genuinely strange. The message read, "We never intended to hurt her in all of this. She perished shortly after she was taken. She was buried with nature. Nothing you could have done could have changed the outcome, and we are truly sorry." Perished. Buried with nature. That's not how kidnappers talk. Whitney herself has said it reads like it was written by someone translating from another language, or by someone trying to sound sympathetic without knowing how. Here's what doesn't add up. That first note, the one demanding $4 million, rising to 6, didn't go out until nearly 2 full days after Nancy Guthrie vanished. She disappeared in the middle of the night. Sunday came and went, Monday came and went. The note didn't hit TMZ and 2 Tucson stations until 6:42 that evening. If money was truly the goal, why wait 2 days to demand it? Whitney's theory, and it's a chilling one, by the time that first note went out, Nancy Guthrie may already have been gone. The people who sent it may have known that and sent it anyway. And there's still no explanation for the 4 days between that first, businesslike ransom demand and the second note's sudden shift to apology. Whitney's read is that more than one person may be involved, someone who physically took Nancy Guthrie, and someone else, more removed, writing these notes after the fact. 2 different tones, 2 different people, maybe even disagreement between them about what to do next. What we do know, according to Whitney, is that the first note did lay out real terms for a return. Nancy Guthrie would be dropped at a location back in Tucson once the Bitcoin was paid. No burlap sack, no mile marker, but a real plan. A plan that, 5 months later, went nowhere. There have also been reports of a possible lead south of the border. A search organization operating in Mexico said they received a tip serious enough that Mexican authorities offered backup support to investigate. That group has located dozens of unmarked remains in past searches, and the location they were pointed to reportedly involves a grave near a stream. Nothing has been confirmed there, but it fits the phrase from that second note, buried with nature, a description vague enough to mean the desert, the mountains, or somewhere well outside Arizona entirely. If investigators do eventually catch whoever sent these notes, there's no guarantee it answers the biggest question. Plenty of cases end with an arrest and never get a why, and if the person behind this was never the one who physically took Nancy Guthrie, just someone managing the plan from a distance, that person may not even be in the country, may never be extraditable, may never explain any of it. What tends to break cases like this open is exactly what's at stake for whoever gets caught first. Arizona carries the death penalty, and facing that tends to make people talk fast about who else was involved. There's rarely loyalty among people who did this for money. If you know anything at all, about what happened to Nancy Guthrie, call the tip line at 1-800-CALL-FBI or reach investigators directly at 520-351-4900. Every detail matters, even the ones that feel small. Subscribe so you don't miss what comes next in this case.